Well, welcome. I have a wonderful guest on, I guess you call it a show today. It is a platform for the voice of the divine feminine to be heard powerfully in our transparency without holding anything back, because that's what the world needs now. So I'm so happy to introduce to you Laura. Hello, Laura.
Hi, Jan. Good to have you,
Great
or
to
good to be here.
Great to be here. Well, we're both so excited. I actually met Laura when I reached out, hundreds of women on feminine frequency. It was a beautiful creation by Jessica Hadari. And I looked at Laura Maven Star's listings, and this is how we're finding our connective people, our tribe, our homies. As I said, I got a body chill. Reach out to Laura. So I'm going to introduce Laura to you properly, and then we're going to hear all about Laura, what she's about, what she's doing. And I have to tell you, she's in Sedona, and I love how you call yourself the Oracle of Sedona. That's
Yes,
so,
well, that came from a friend of mine, so I kind of adopted it.
well, it's so brilliant, and it says a lot. And I truly love to interview women who are claiming and standing in their knowing and acceptance and embodying the mastery that they carry. We're not playing it small anymore. In fact, you said today's topic is going to be reclaiming the feminine voice. That's my favorite topic in the whole world. Okay, let's talk about Laura Maven Star. Laura is a sacred oracle and mother dragon, celestial wisdom keeper for the divine feminine Christ consciousness. I just love that term because it's inclusive of a high vibration human being. She has been studying goddess lore, facilitating ceremonies, offering oracle guidance, spiritual coaching, teaching Akashic records for over 10 years, and has served hundreds of women to reclaim and embody their sacred priestess leadership potential. She is the founder of the Light Leaders Academy and Get Your Goddess Groove On community and radio show. She is a natural born intuitive energy healing, Magdalene Heart Womb priestess, and ordained shamanic minister, serving the divine birth of the new earth, the golden age of Aquarius. Fabulous. I just love it, everything you said about that. So let's start with we all weren't born knowing who we are. There's a path. We have our own story, and I know people listening, or maybe they're still in the bumpy part. They want to hear how you became knowledgeable and embodied this energy and accepted in your being it. So I'm going to put you on speaker view for a little while, and you just take all the time you need, Laura, to tell us about yourself.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Jan, for inviting me to this interview today. And it's my pleasure and honor to be here to share what I can about my story, about my challenges, about, a little bit about my own journey. And I feel that each of us have a unique soul journey, that the story of healing on that journey is so powerful. And I find such beauty in each individual story. And there's a unique individual spark of light, right, that we all carry within us, that we were created in, made in the image of Divine Mother, Divine Father. And we all have that beautiful, beautiful spark of light. And what I love so much is to help women and men to find that beautiful inner spark, that beautiful inner voice that I feel like for a long time, Jan, our inner voice has been very silent for many, maybe even thousands of years or many incarnations, where the suppression of the feminine and even the masculine, and we all have the inner feminine and inner masculine within us. We have those qualities within us that we're gifted to us in the divine design. Um, and I'm very much a believer, and you'll feel me that at this time of history, in this particular incarnation, as difficult and as challenging as it is, that it's providing the framework or the backdrop, if you will, for us to reclaim our voice, to reclaim our, I'm going to call our organic human superpowers. And that's a very big statement because we do see a lot coming in right now around, the introduction of AI, the introduction of new technologies coming in. And we can all have our own feelings about that, which is important that we do. And um, I think it's so important that we can get in touch with our voice, because our voice is so needed right now. Not just our light, but our voice is very much needed. And in my own story, I pretty much repressed my own voice by the time I was 3 years old. So I was born awake. I was born with, my natural intuitive, I guess you could call them, gifts in place. But by the time I was 3, because of my family, kind of circumstances, and this is not to blame my parents because I love them, and they were only doing what they could do, and they were both very wounded and unhealed, uh, souls, and doing the best they could. And so by the time I was 3, I was pretty much shut down, that voice shut down, and almost wanted to leave the planet, I think. And, but there was something I think really deep within me, Jan, that is really there sometimes in the background or in the deepest core of our being, that when we touch into that place, when we touch into that, you could say mystical or sacred place within us. And I find it deep within my own heart, and that, we can find a resiliency there. We can find a strength. We can find these sort of inner gifts within us that may feel hidden or suppressed, but are just really waiting through those challenging circumstances of our lives, those obstacles that come up that we face, to really, to kind of like almost like there's something more here. Go deeper. There's something else. Go beyond just the shallow, you know, almost robotic, trance like state of life that we have been in for a long time. And so, um, I can remember around the age of 13. Now, I grew up in the South of the United States, so I was very steeped in religion on both sides of my family, from, ministers to, so it was a part of my life growing up. And it's a part of my life that I appreciate. I appreciate, you know, the religion gave a framework, and I quickly outgrew it by the time I was entering into college. And I remember one of the things that I did love about going to church was the music. And the music was very much, music and nature were probably my two most go-to tools that kept me going, as well as my own spirit, kept me moving forward when life got very, very tough. And, so I'd either go to nature or I would go to music, and it would always revive my soul, it revived my resilience. Um, so I can remember at the age of 13 and walking home from church, because we lived very close, and I was talking to God, and I was saying, dear God, at that time, I don't understand why I go to church and I hear a lot about love and loving each other and, all these wonderful stories and about peace. But when I come home to my family, I don't experience that. And I don't experience peace within myself. And it really bothered me at that time, because at that time I knew, I guess, at some level, that I had a contract with God, that I came in this incarnation for. because I wanted to help people, and I wanted to help people to help them to come into peace and to move beyond pain and suffering. And so, you know, the beautiful divine plan was that as a star seed and indigo, um, that I now understand more about who I am, I signed up to come into that particular family so that I could help to heal all of those frequencies that are not of peace and not of love and not of light. And so, it was really a great foundation. It was a great setup for me to do that. And I had a very, um, I would say my mother was probably my main teacher because at the time she was embodying, um, very toxic masculine and feminine. And she was really at the point of being a narcissist to a certain extent. Both my parents were. And she was sort of this person that was not in touch with her body. She was very ungrounded. I had to walk on eggshells a lot because she or my brother, had a tendency to explode at any time. So I learned very quickly I was trying to be the peacemaker. I was trying to be in the family. I was the one that was holding the family together like glue, where there was so much instability. Dad was working, dad was kind of aloof, dad wasn't really there. Mom was trying to take care of three kids and do the best she could, but she wasn't really able to either. So those are some of the dynamics going on. And there was some verbal abuse, emotional abuse, a little bit of physical abuse, but these were the dynamics of this family. So, um, you know, I just kind of went on from there. And I remember going on to have what you would say a normal American life. I wanted to be married, I wanted to have children. I graduated from high school, I went to college. Um, at the end of college, I did get married and I did have a beautiful daughter. Um, but there was still something within me, Jan, that kept speaking to me in my 20s that it wasn't enough. It wasn't like I was still satisfied, and it wasn't like I was still finding that inner peace. In fact, I was finding that within me, I could tell that I had repressed a lot of anger because I was always the one trying to be the the perfect one. It was like I had this sort of misunderstanding about with my Christian upbringing that, oh, I had to always be showing up, cool, calm, well put together, and in the South, presenting, which was a lot of conditioning, on us as women. And so I kept all my emotions repressed, which was very, very unhealthy and very toxic. So I started to um, read a lot of self help books, you know, went to, I think, talk therapy for a year, didn't seem to really do a whole lot. And, trying to discover and find, a way to heal my inner chaos and conflict. So, in my mid 40s, um, I kind of went through another wake up call, went through some depression. And then by the time I was 51, I had this huge, huge, I don't, it's not like a Kundalini event, but it was just it was just time for me to wake up, I guess, wake up even more. And so it was almost like a lightning strike. I call it like a lightning strike that came out of nowhere in a sense. And it literally kind of cracked open. I felt like I was cracking open like an egg. And all this light and energy came into my brain, literally, to open a pathway for me to move, I would say, more into touch with my right brain than my left brain, because I have a very strong left brain, but I'm also extremely intuitive. So in March of 2008, I lost a major job of 10 years. I left a cult that I was in. I was kind of naive about that, but it was learning about energy, and the people in the East know a lot about energy, but unfortunately, this organization was a cult. It wasn't of the highest integrity. And so I had the strength to leave that. And that summer, I was in my meditation room and no one even knew I was going through breakdowns. I was just going through mental breakdowns, you know, going to the lowest point in my life. And, I remember just thinking, I was never suicidal, but I did have these thoughts of like, I just don't know how I can go on with life. I can't go on this way anymore. I can't do this. And not even really sharing it with my husband. But I had a beautiful dog at the time, my dog Molly, and she showed to me one day, and she was with me and she was holding my soul. Literally, she was holding my soul and protecting my soul and holding me, because she was actually in truth a male shaman who had incarnated in my beautiful dog Molly. And one day she came up and the shaman appeared to me, like the dog came up to my meditation room, and then I saw, instead of the dog, I saw the shaman. And it was so beautiful. So I really was never alone during this time. And then I ended up, saying, okay, I'm not working, and what is the next step for my healing? And I ended up signing up for a spiritual life coaching program that was being taught in person in Atlanta, and it was based in a metaphysical principles, so I was very attracted to that. So I started my 12 months program there, and then I went on from there to getting in touch with my mediumship gifts and my psychic gifts, and starting the journey really of healing. And it really began for me a dark night of the soul journey that went on for almost 7 years. So I did end up, in September 2009, which quite to my quite surprise, honestly, because coming from the South and steeped in religion, I had this belief that when you're married for life, right? And then I knew I couldn't be married for life anymore because, my partner didn't really want to do, the inner work. And I said, I'm going to honor and respect that, but I can't stay in this relationship anymore. So we did end up getting divorced of 30 years, and I left my dream home and went out into the world. And, it was at 51. And some of my friends were looking at me like I was crazy because, I had this beautiful place, and they're like, what are you doing? Um, and, I left, packed my car, and within 3 weeks, I left without a job. But within 3 weeks, I had a job, a full time job. So spirit was always there. I was being supported in ways that, did not know how. And even employers or other people who didn't know what was going on were still supporting me. So, you know, honestly, it was raw. It was raw at times. And I didn't know how I was even going through each day. But, I knew there was always something within me. And, it was really my soul. It was really my spirit. It was really, that part of me that was so connected that it was kind of buoying me up or tethering me forward, if you will. So that's what set me on this path. And I eventually, after falling down the rabbit hole, so to speak, started to climb out of it and began to really heal, and get in touch with my oracle gifts and beginning to, bring those gifts back online. And I became very passionate to leave the corporate world that I had been in for 35 years. I was in leadership positions and I was very successful at that, but it had taken a great toll on my body. And I can remember that I started my part-time spiritual business in 2014, but in 2016, I just couldn't go on anymore. It was just too much. And so I remember 3 weeks after leaving my job, my whole arm, I woke up one day, was frozen. I woke up in pain and frozen because all of that, you know, over responsibility, which was my core pattern of being the one who was the rescuer, the caretaker, being over responsible, taking on other people's pain and emotions. was the way that I survived in the world for many incarnations.
Like a
And,
sponge.
you know,
You're a sponge for the misalignments of the humanity.
absolutely. Starting with my own family, you know, and then realizing that I needed to detox all of that.
Here's a question.
So,
It's a question for the universe, for the directors
mm,
of the divine plan. You and I, to the T, I woke up with a numb arm one morning like a log. Couldn't raise it, couldn't.
yes.
I left a villa and a Ferrari. That gives you a hint to what I walked away from.
Wow.
We were born without an operations manual. We knew we were in the wrong movie. So confusing.
Mhm.
Why would people lie when it's so much easier to be kind and to tell the truth? So we were born and we were left alone in the wilderness, but I think it was to forge
Mm,
it and to not believe it from some outer source, but to chisel our own inner knowing until we finally say, I get that this world is misaligned and I have a different way of looking at things, and I have unpeeled some divine confidence and knowing. But I'm so much about what if there were other forerunners who had been through it through the divine feminine lens, not through the guru dispensing a certain this and that, and you pay money and you're in their corral. No, but the
right.
divine feminine way is different. We're going to talk about that, how we speak, how inclusive we are, but we hold a very high degree of truth telling and transparency, or sorry, you don't
Mm,
ever trust and we can't create with you. But here we are. We both spent, I was laughing even to the date, and I was 50 at my birthday saying, is that all there is? I had 10 birthday cakes on the table. A comedian came, my whole family, and I said, this is the wrong movie. But I don't know who I am or what my movie
mm,
is because it
mm,
was not of this world. So we had to have these breakthrough experiences and learn that that was the true world. That was what we could count on. And so fast forward a decade or so, and the women, we are helping each other understand and hold
mm,
our truth in a very firm way to the point where
mm.
we can rely on each other. I had a kind of one of those emotionally challenging situations in my 3D, and you and I happened to be talking. I said, can you look at this? And Laura effortlessly said, well, this, and this. Exactly, nail on the head. In the next 24 hours, that all unfolded. Think how powerful we could have been if we woke up sooner. But then again, it's a group activity. It's like a touch tag
Mm,
sort of. We're doing this together as a species. So for
yes.
me, patience is involved too. So let's talk about, you
Mm,
touched upon the masculine aspect, and we're not going to focus on that so much, but this feeling of rightness, of this is the space and this is me, that took us so long to feel like we had the right or even knew what it was. How is that
mhm.
voice and that presence, that divine feminine presence, different from what is happening with the old conversations, our old voice, or the patriarchy, or the authoritative dominant? How's the voice of the
Mm.
feminine different for you?
Oh, yeah, great question. You know, because I really knew I was intuitive and I knew I was more feminine than masculine in my own individual spark makeup. Let's just say it that way, because we're not all walking around 50-50, right? Um, so, you know, what really she began to show up for me in 2000. Well, she first began to show up really when I got in touch with my intuition, because the feminine is all about our intuition. The feminine is the connection to your soul. It is the connection to your spirit. It is your intuition. It is a powerful, powerful tool. It's all about that divine connection to our divinity, our soul. And so she began to show me where I had been taught. through religion, oh, the father energy, all about the father. There's nothing wrong with the father energy. That's just one part. But where's the feminine in all this? Where's her voice? Her voice was missing, Jan, in my own upbringing, right? And she was so repressed. I didn't have that modeling with my mother or my father. And so, but then she began to greatly show me through the reclaiming of my own feminine voice, through getting in touch with my intuition, the powerful intuitive oracle gifts that I do hold. And, through all of the modalities, right? And then she really began to show me her voice in 2015 when I began to receive prayers that I channeled.
Mm.
Now, these prayers were not anything that I knew about, and these prayers were not anything that I sort of set an intention for. They just began to show up and they just began to flow through me. And I knew they had a very powerful purpose because they're prayers of for the divine feminine, for you to anchor your divine feminine, to get in touch with they're all about expanding into and anchoring your light, your love, your angelic presence. They're all about helping you to reclaim your sovereignty, your light, your love, your faith, your truth. These are all the words that are in these prayers. And I knew there was something very, very special about that. And it began to really wake me up to a new level of understanding. Oh, yes, yes, I'm remembering. And I didn't realize at the time really that the energy of Isis, because the energy of Isis is really the energy of Mother Mary. Mother Mary was Isis in that Egyptian timeline. And so Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, came to me in 2016. Now, this was again was not anything that I called or knew. It was just part of my own divine soul map, if you will, of awakening to who I really am and knowing myself. And then they began to come to me and show me and began to mentor me that, and this began to lead me even further into remembering my really divine feminine Christ aspect. Now, I use the word intentionally Christ because I want people to understand there some people to go, well, no, just say divine feminine. No, it's divine feminine Christ consciousness we're talking about. It's very
Absolutely.
specifically talking about the divine Christos Sophia template that is the original organic template that we are ascending back into right now with our 12 strands of DNA, which is my belief that we are the mother energy that is represented by both Mary Magdalene and Divine Mother. And they both embodied this energy. They both embodied the feminine Christ. And this is what I was shown on my journey to France in 2017, which was another part of my journey I didn't know. But we have these awakenings, we have these experiences. And when you have those experiences, and I know you know what I'm talking about, Jan, that no one can deny that or take that away from you. When you have that experience in your soul, in this now reality, in your heart of hearts, with every fiber of your being that this is your truth, that
Yeah.
this is the highest truth,
It
right?
makes your body chill. When I saw the Da Vinci Code, I had body chills, and that was the beginning of my spiritual path. And actually, I have a
Mhm.
question for you. I've led
Mhm.
tours to France. I've gone there maybe 15 times, just searching for the truth, the Holy Grail, I don't know what. But in the storyline, and one of the visuals that occurred for me is that there was a
Mhm.
daughter named Sarah,
Mhm.
daughter of the Father of Light. And my ideation is that Christ and Magdalene could not finish the teaching in their time due to the density of the consciousness. But many women I meet feel that they are the embodiment of the masculine, feminine, mother and father, and coming through with the voice of Sarah. Actually, I wrote a book. Sarah's voice, the rise of the divine feminine, and it's just kind of getting going
Mhm.
here. But what's your thought about this Sarah idea?
Oh, wow. Well, congratulations. I didn't know you had a book coming out or had a book about that, and I definitely want to get a copy because I had my own experience with Saint Sar. I call Saint Sar in
Yes.
France. It's at Saint Marie de la Mer, which is on the coast,
Oh, yeah.
a small town, which you know the story of where the boat came in with
Oh,
Mary
yeah.
Magdalene,
I'm having chills.
Mother Mary. Yes, they all came in, and Lazarus and many came with them on that boat. They landed on those shores, and there is a beautiful church there where actually, the bones of the two Marys, Mary of Bethany, Mary of Salome, are buried there in that church.
Yes.
And when I went there, um, my first time, and you go down into the crypt, right?
Oh,
You go down to the crypt.
I've sung there. I've played my
Oh,
life
wow.
and sung and held a space there many times. I feel it's home.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, the power of that is a very special vortex of feminine energy.
Yes, it
When
is.
I went into Saint Sarah, and she's just kind of like appears to most people as a wooden statue, and people go in and they look at her and they turn around and go back out.
Right.
So I go in there, and my heart and her heart just totally
Oh,
connected, and I just sat there for 2 hours weeping, crying, and receiving all kind of messages and downloads from the Christ family. So, I had a very powerful connection with Saint Sarah and connection there. And yeah, I just get
to
so
me,
emotional thinking
she's
about.
the embodiment of what we call the Black Madonna, who the
Yes,
Catholic Church has put her in the basement for God's sake, and it's full of soot. But people come
yes.
and they recognize. And here's how I feel it unfolds. The Marys came in, the Marys, Mary Magdalene, Mary, Beth, and Mary,
Hmm.
and they had the daughter Sarah with them, and they called her the
Hmm.
servant girl to protect her because the Christ
Yes,
child that's too powerful, too dangerous. Saint
right.
Sarah was already the queen of the gypsies. Saint Sarah, queen of the orphans, the misaligned, those who were pushed away from social
Hmm.
graces. So
Hmm.
Saint Sarah held an eminent space in the hearts of the townspeople. So when they came in on their boat, bedraggled, she took them in, and Saint Sarah became dear friends and kind of protected and led and taught Sarah, the daughter, and the Marys into the ways of the French countryside so they could be safe. They could be safe and live there. At first, I thought Saint Sarah was actually the daughter of Christ, but I've kind of teased that they were two individuals because I've gone back in time. I've embodied the
Hmm.
different beings and felt
Hmm.
into the stories, and I've read Grandmother of Jesus about the daughter of Sarah.
Hmm.
And you see two different timelines, two different families and activities. So the more that we can work with these archetypes, and Mary Magdalene,
Hmm.
Mother Mary, take your pick, two different beings. One is passionate and powerful, and the other one, it just exudes the most divine love and, Mother of the Christ you can imagine. But we have Sarah and we have Saint Sarah. We have all these archetype beings that these women, that we as women emerging, not like them, but learning from their archetype strengths and goodness
Hmm.
in this time here today. That's how I look at it.
Oh,
As,
absolutely, absolutely. And I did not realize, I just came back from a pilgrimage to France last October, and I began to reflect on, I was there in 2017, 18, and 19. And at the very last day, I was in Toulouse in October 2019. Mother Mary said it would be 4 years before I came back. And I'm like, 4 years? What do you mean, Mother Mary? No, no, because I just fell in love with it. And and actually this past summer in July, I was called to go back by Mother Mary. And I was back there in October for a week, and I met a most beautiful group of 14 Magdalene sisters from New Jersey. Didn't know them, the place we were staying, and I didn't have a car, and I ended up taking them to the Magdalene Cave at Rennes-le-Chateau, guiding them there
yes. Oh,
because we
yes.
had this beautiful destiny that I would guide them because the lady that was supposed to guide them couldn't go.
That
And so I'm getting
womb
chills as I share
cave.
this. Yes, the womb cave across from Le Chateau.
Yes,
But when I was reflecting back in my journaling, I did not realize that I have this really huge relationship um, with the Black Madonna, which, you know, Mary Magdalene is the Black Madonna energy.
yes.
And so I started to put together, oh my gosh, the Black Madonna energy has kind of been in the background
That's right.
all along
In the
on my
shadows,
journey
in the shadows, and
in the shadows.
put in the ground. So
Yes.
when I edit this, we're going to take a breath. And a decade ago, I channeled Mary Magdalene, it was called the Mary Magdalene song, her claiming her Christ consciousness. So at this
Mm,
point in our interview, I'm going to put that in with the pictures of the Black Madonna. We ourselves, as
mhm,
women, through misogyny and patriarchal dominance, have held back our voices. So these stories and
mhm.
images are helping us see that for 2,000 years is too long. I now break my silence and reclaim my divine role. I ask for forgiveness, for silence, for 2,000 years. As I now stand before you, I reveal without fear my role in the great mysteries as a woman anointed with Christed light. From the Mary Magdalene Church in Rennes-le-Château, we sing. And we're stepping
Yes.
forward now because our voices
Yes.
are needed. The Dalai Lama said it will be the divine feminine, and our voices are the megaphone of our consciousness. Our consciousness
Absolutely.
needs to be present, our light. So you and I, we could talk forever. And once I get, well, I'm glad I let you talk for a lot at the beginning, because once I get going, and what I really love about you is that you are naming and claiming your gifts and what you're about. And there's a lot of women waking up who are like you and I,
Mhm.
like
Yes.
what's real? Women are leaving their husbands every day. And I wrote a book, Guy's Guide to the Divine Feminine, last chance for your husband to get on board with what's happening with
Love
you.
it. Oh my, that's
So,
great. Well, and you know, also I'd like to add to that. That's beautiful that yes, women are rising. We are getting in touch with our voice, our inner feminine voice. We're beginning to speak up. We're beginning to rise up, which is what we're here for. We're emissaries, I believe, for Divine Mother to be her eyes, to be her ears, to be her voice, to speak up, to stop the suffering and the pain that's really unnecessary. It's unnecessary,
yes,
all this suffering and pain. This was not the way we were designed to live. And that we came to have a beautiful experience with these beautiful bodies, these sacred vessels, these elemental beings, you know. And I also want to say too, because I work with a lot of women and, you know, maybe in their older years, and it's never too late. I don't care how old you are. It's never too late to begin to awaken your heart, to awaken your soul, to begin to get in touch with that feminine voice. And we need every woman to claim her feminine voice, to speak up for the children, to speak up for nature, to speak up for the environment, to speak up for every part of society that we can see is so out of balance between the feminine and the masculine. And as we embody and we heal our own shadows, right? And we walk through that and we bring more light and we anchor more light to this planet. This is my firm belief. This raising of the consciousness, not only for ourselves, but for our children and grandchildren, super, super critical and important right now. And that is how we are going to bring this world back into balance, back into harmony, back into peace. No other way. We
listening to
are the way.
it's like my words are coming out of Laura, and I do think there is a template for leadership
Mm.
And as you are
Yes.
absolutely listening in, the truth is the same person to person. And the way that we're
Yeah.
doing it is so beautifully and creatively, and we're using the media platforms. We're developing a big media platform up here in Washington at a Fort Worth and United Earth Networks. A new partner and I are creating She Said Talks. I'm interviewing
Mhm.
people like you and putting it out far and wide so that women
Mhm.
say, oh my goodness, these thoughts, these ideations, which are just like Laura's, just like Jan's, that we can form our own communicative, co-creative, collaborative, new realm of trust. And it took you and I on our personal paths to learn to trust the voice of spirit, the voice. And when you
Mhm.
said you're guided to France, I'm guided to do all these things. And then people say, well, how are you going to pay for it? If spirit guides me, I'm trusting. I'm trusting the path. So you
Mhm.
and I are forming a sense of commitment to ourselves, to this voice, and we are good
Mhm.
for our words, and we are trying to be in integrity as much as we can. And that allows other women to step out with confidence with their voice, opening
Mhm.
their realm with spirit. And this is how we change the world. Exactly
Absolutely.
what you and I are seeing right
Absolutely.
now it's happening. So I want to back up a little bit. You said that you had these prayers coming through. I recently developed my card system, and while we were talking, I pulled a card, and the card is Know Thyself, Connecting with Source by Listening. And it's a beautiful way for me to express the gifts coming through myself. But your prayers, did you form a tool or a process or something? Tell me what tools that you've developed that women can find you to help them on their path, or how they can work with you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, the prayer book, I called it originally the Seven Sacred Prayers of Light, and I did release it a few years back, and I did teach a course around it. However, right now I'm actually being asked to upgrade it to a new level of frequencies, a new understanding, and I'm going through that process and for the next 3 months. And I'm going to be weaving my own stories in there because what I've come to understand is that I receive these beautiful prayers, but yet it is a really deep inner wound around my own oracle priestess self that um I gave this as a gift for myself, these prayers. And so part of my journey, I'm at the junction of my journey now to begin to understand these prayers in a new way, in a way of the feminine. And so I'm going to be working on that the next 3 months. And I was given frequencies, and I did create audio prayer meditations that I'll be updating with higher frequencies because they said now that we're receiving higher energies, so in higher frequencies, and they told me at one point I would need to update those. So I'm kind of in the works of doing all that right now and hoping to launch that later this year. And but right now, the way that you can get in touch with me is just go to lauramavenstar.com. And I have right now what I'm doing is I do have a Magdalene Sophia Rose, beautiful women's group. We do meet 2 times a month. It's a beautiful group. This is my 4th year leading it, and it's a powerful group of women. And I also have courses that you can work with me. The Marys have been having me to help women to actually work on healing their womb and their sacral chakra, because the times that we're coming right now to birth the new earth, Jan, we have to clear our sacral chakra, our womb chakra, so that we can open up this field. It's actually a stargate between your heart and your womb because there are actually twin hearts meant to work together. So you can work with me in private. I do private oracle work, and some women choose to do that way where I can work with you one on one to heal your womb, or you can join one of my group healing, womb healing courses if you'd like. So that's what I'm doing right now. I am planning a retreat coming up in Sedona. I actually am going to launch that in the fall. in September around the equinox. And if you're interested in possibly coming to that Magdalene Priestess retreat, here for 4 nights and 5 days that we'll be doing here in Sedona for some powerful priestess work, then you can go to my website and just sign up for the newsletter to find out more about that. I'll be setting up a wait list for that soon. So that's kind of what I have going on right now.
Beautiful. And I'll be listing everything in the YouTube, within the YouTube, and also in the underneath part. But
Oh, thank you.
for September, you and I are going to be meeting up because Spirit tapped on my shoulder through a friend that gave me a dream that said that she saw me and other divine feminine women in Sedona
Mhm.
at a beautiful retreat center. So I reached out. I said, Laura, have you seen that? She says, of course, that's one of the reasons I'm assigned here. So we are following our intuition. And I'm saying this so that people listening to this will have the ideation of, wouldn't I love to have a center, retreat center, and meet with people
Yes.
in my tribe, in my group? And then think
Mhm.
about this. If we build a Sedona retreat center for like-minded resonant people, then my friend in Italy can come and teach at the Sedona Center. And you can go
Mhm.
teach at the Italian Center and stay there for 2 months. And we have created for ourselves a cyclic, interconnected grid of joyful visitations and family and sharing our mastery wherever we go.
Yes, absolutely love it. And that's going to be uh you're going to be here Tuesday, May 28th. Is that right?
May
Is that the right
28th,
date?
that afternoon, we'll meet up. And even if people see this a year from now, just know dreams come true. Follow the nudges, the body chills, the ideation, and even dreams. You'll wake up and say, this is mine to do. That's when my spirit guides speak to me in very clear
Mhm.
words, like the voice of God. In the morning when I wake up, it will say,
Mm.
well, how about this? I've learned to follow them. So
Yes, me too as well.
we could talk
Yeah,
all
and
day, Laura. So
we could talk
great.
all day long, and but it's worth the journey and the rewards that you receive to bring the meeting and the peace and the joy and the love into your life. I've completely shifted to two timelines, on my journey. I've landed on my feet. I've been totally taken care of. I've met wonderful people. I'm still on my healing journey like we all are. I'm not complete. But, I would love, 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 so love for anyone who'd love to come to Sedona and come here and hopefully to our, when Jan comes to meet and have this beautiful divine meeting of the hearts and the souls to share this beautiful dream that we can manifest and we can do it is the part of the new heaven on earth.
Just get on our mailing list and we'll bring you into the fold. So Laura,
Yes.
thank you for setting aside this time today. I know you were very
Oh, thank you.
busy and we said it and we did it, and I'll edit it and send
Yes,
it
thank
out
you.
to the world. Much love to you.
Much love to you, Jan. Thank you so much. And
Namaste.
namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you.